welcome back to the Hawkins Do You Copy podcast. My name is Lauren.
And my name is Emily, and in this podcast we talk about all things Stranger Things.
We are back after having a little time off over Christmas. I hope that everybody had a lovely end of December, no matter what it was that you did, and a happy new year as well. And
I feel like we're all very much in the same boat. I don't feel like we all did much, but I think we all did not much together.
Yes, and the UK is now in another lockdown.
It's all very positive in 2021. We
starting the year off with a bang.
We drink tea to that.
Yeah, there we go. Very British. So we have spoken before about how scarily right we've been when it comes to predicting aspects of the show, to the point where we literally predicted Will the Wise, like when they were still filming. I think like they hadn't even finished filming season 3 yet, and we were just randomly discussing, and Will the Wise came up as in a topic of conversation, and then a couple of months later I received a message from Emily with a screenshot from behind the scenes that was like, we were right. Like,
yeah, to the point where I think our conversation was literally just like, I think we said, oh, imagine if he just turns up to Mike's house in this full wizard outfit,
dressed like a wizard,
D&D. Just something like that. And you can imagine the shock and the how upset we were, I guess you could say,
to find out we were right.
Correct. It was a lot of stressing about the hat. I am still stressed about the hat, and I just can't believe that is a thing that was in season 3.
It's like a total
me daily
attack always. Like, there's just so many things about the Will the Wise outfit. Like, one, is it new? Because he like grew, like he got a lot taller and it fits him perfectly. So did he buy a new outfit? Secondly, it attacks you in various forms of merchandise. Like the Stranger Things Lego, which is set in season 1, has a little Will the Wise hat that sits in his room. And I just think that's unnecessary. That's unnecessary. That doesn't need to be in there. Canonically, it didn't exist at this point.
Or did it? Did
it? It's been the case the whole time.
Oh, honestly, and also like the fact as well, like we will actually get on to the topic of the podcast in a second, but we're now on Will the Wise, and we all know that I'm still in 2021, and that is my branding.
Yes.
So just that scene in general. Obviously, they slept over, and I think they were all wearing the same clothes, like from the day before to the next day anyway. So, did he plan this? Like, did he just leave his house that day? Like, all right, Joyce, Mum, going out for a bit. Might not come.
The idea of him calling her Joyce as he leaves the house with just the hat poking out of his bag, it's like my favourite.
Honestly, just this purple hat sticking out. It's like, don't worry about that, Mum. Don't worry about that. We'll address that at a later time. Or, as we've said before, did he get there, set up the campaign, and then just sneak out of Mike's house at like 2 in the morning, whatever, pop home, whip the outfit out, like, right, going back now, I'm gonna wake
ride
up
back
as a wizard.
Right on his bike, wizard cloak like flowing in the wind.
They clearly did not want us to look into this far. They're not meant to. We're not meant to look into it that far, but I think there are questions that need to be answered. So Duffer Brothers, how and why does he have a wizard outfit around?
Do you know, like at conventions? No, do you know, like at conventions where like you can ask people questions and you like go over and stand in the microphone that's like set up in the hallway, like the hallway, the like aisle of the convention room and whatever. Like I just have this idea of like going to San Diego Comic-Con and just being in hall H and just walking over and being like, Matt, Ross, love your work. Just a quick question, it's really important. And they're like, oh my god, what are they going to ask? Are they going to ask about time travel, about this, and then we're just there like, how did he get the outfit to Mike's house?
The only question we want answered. It's the plot hole, to be honest. It is though. It is a major plot hole in season 3. everything else aside, we can kind of gather what happened there. That wizard outfit doesn't make sense. Thank you. Anyway.
And that's the end of the podcast. You can...
Thanks for listening.
So we, however, have gotten some things wrong in our time and predicting the show, and we will inevitably get more things wrong when it comes into season 4 and presumably season 5. That's going to probably be a thing. So we thought we would kick off the new year having a bit of a laugh with some of the theories that we got wrong.
Because somehow we can predict Will the Wise, but we can't predict things that would actually make sense.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah.
Where should we start off?
I think that sentence, predicting Will the Wise, but not predicting things that actually make sense, sums up season 3.
We're not holding back in 2021, are we? Just
pure demonic energy in 2021. Where shall we start? Shall we start with Will? We're on the topic anyway. Shall we start with Will?
Yeah. So something we thought maybe was going to be happening with Will in season 3 is that we thought some kind of powers in some sense. Obviously not quite the same as elves, because I don't think that's something that canonically going to happen.
Yeah.
But obviously with the exposure to the Upside Down, the Mind Flayer, etc. in season 3, it does kind of leave it open to the possibility of something else going on with him. So for a long time we thought, okay, is this connection to the Mind Flayer still going to be there then? Is there going to be some true sights or that kind of thing going on? And what we got instead was Spidey sense.
Peter Tingle.
We're not going there. So, I mean, obviously then, I guess this is something that could be developed in season 4. I still hold on to the theory that there is something else going on there and something more. And I think like we've spoken before about how I really love the idea that somehow he is the Mind Flayer and it's been all like predestined and all that kind of thing. But that watch the podcast on that. We talk about that extensively.
It will be linked in the description on our YouTube channel, which is at Hawkins podcast. You can go watch the podcast there if you're only listening to it. You can see our faces.
I just wasn't expecting him to just touch his neck a lot. Really. That's something I wasn't expecting.
I really like the idea that he can somehow like go into the void or use it to kind of, like you said, that true sight, but in a way which can be developed to help them more than just like this is the thing with the he's touching here. The neck. It's like, yeah, okay, it's too late at that point. Like he's here already. Like, and I think people were actually saying this about like Peter Parker's, about the Spidey sense. Like I was going to call it a Peter Tingle then, like Far From Home has ruined that for me entirely. Like I just quote Aunt May all the time. But they were saying like he gets the tingle. He gets the scent, he has the Spidey sense like just like literally like moments before something happens, so it doesn't fully prepare like for the situation because it's happening. Like he gets it in Endgame, no, he gets it in Infinity War, and like he's like, something's wrong, and you like see the hairs like stand up on his arm, and then he turns and there's like this massive spaceship, and you're like, well, he's not going to stop anything now, is he? Because it's already here. Like all he can do is try and help the situation that's already happened. And I think that's kind of what's happened with Will, is he's saying he's here, but he has it when
it's activated.
But like he says it when he's already there. It's not that he can sense that something's coming and he can stop it from coming. It's okay, it's here, how do we fight it now? It's already here. But what we did notice the other day when we were having this discussion is that a lot of his when he does have the sense is around big electrical things.
Yeah, it is. So that is, obviously we can see this in season 1. We've been able to work with the lights, you know what I mean, communicate with the lights, and that's something that carries across in the comics as well, which we also talk about on the podcast. I think like episode, I don't know, I can't pick a number in my head. It's the one where we talk about bonus things, I believe it's called, Strange Things comics. And there's this long-standing thing there as well then, with him, it's showing you him actually using the lights and being able to communicate in the Upside Down using the lights, and with walkie-talkies to phone home, etc, etc. So obviously in season 3, when he first feels it in the cinema, well, we presume it's the first, let's go for the idea that we're going to presume that's the first time he feels it. I mean, it, in my mind, it's probably happened before, but anyway.
Yeah.
So he's sitting in the cinema, and I think the lights are just about to go out.
Yeah.
I think. And then he feels it there. And then obviously the next time they're by Cerebro, and he feels it there as well. And then I think every time apart from that, it's been either within the mall or the sauna and things like that. So
there was a storm the night he feels it by Castle Byers, and that's one of the biggest sources of electricity you can have is lightning.
That is actually a point, yeah, and they set that up right from the start of the episode as well, that they made a point that it is an electrical storm and it is thunder and lightning. That's right from the Wheelers is it with the Wheelers waking up? Yeah, it's right from that moment. So obviously there's a whole plot point aside that if we're talking about him being able to avoid things, if he'd just spoken to Mike in the cinema and said, my neck was tingling, I think the Mind Flayer's back, it would have avoided the whole of this. But that's a thing for another day.
But no, we've been wrong up until that point. Obviously he does just have this little sense, but we are hoping that we don't continue to be wrong, and that in upcoming seasons he does have some kind of powers, because I would really love to see Will and Elle as superpower siblings. That would be great.
Yes, please. Will and Elle power duo. Like I'm not expecting him, I think, as I said, like to be like full mind control, that kind of thing, but I think it'd be really cool to explore kind of like the powers he has in the Upside Down, and just some kind of like, because obviously the Mind Flayer is still there in some sense, because otherwise he wouldn't. I feel like I've spoken about this before, but you're going to hear it again. That obviously when he was possessed and they thought it was all out of him, that there is still clearly some attachment. So I think it'll be interesting to see as well, because obviously we're going to presume that the Mind Flayer kind of drained Elle of her powers.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see if some kind of dynamic is there then.
Yeah.
That if Will can sense the Mind Flayer, is there going to be some kind of, not power struggle, but something going on that side of things? I think it'd be an interesting dynamic to explore, personally.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool. And that leads us on to, we thought we were going to get Elle and Will as siblings, which we kind of did, but not in the way we wanted it. It's literally that thing of, you are what I wanted, but not like this. Like, we thought we were going to get Jopper. It was going to be a thing. It was going to be like a whole thing. And by we, I mean definitely mostly me, because I have shipped that since that first season. Like, I thought we were going to get it. I thought it was finally happening. And we didn't get it.
It's quite funny, because I remember messaging you, just being like, what if they're that couple that can just never be together? And I feel like I should never have said that, because I think that just set off the chain of events that led to this. I am a domino effect, maybe.
I fully now don't know if they ever will. I don't know if we're ever going to get that.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I can still see it, but I'm also like, I wouldn't be surprised if they never could be. That it's just by pure circumstance that they just can't be together. But no, yeah, we expected Elle and Will, back to them, to be like this duo. I think people also expect, I think this was a general opinion actually online as well, that people expected them to talk a lot more in season 3. And I think the internet in general was actually quite disappointed that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because obviously Elle's storyline in season 3 seemed to be like covering herself a lot more. And I think a lot of people just would have liked to have seen how they interacted, because I think their stories have actually been so intertwined with one another from the very beginning. And I think, I don't know,
to not have them
I think that's why I'm excited for season 4.
They've got no choice. They have to talk. They're living in the same house. Like, what are they going to do? I was going to say, what are they going to do? Just ignore each other. But like, I really wouldn't put it past them. There's a weird dynamic with them now.
Yeah, I'll be interested to know what happened in that gap in between, because obviously at the end of season 3, spoilers, I'm presuming that you will see season 3 at this point, otherwise you know what's happening anyway. The buyers move away, and we've got that gap between July and October.
3 months.
Yeah, we don't really know what happened at all. So obviously I don't know if Will would be very happy to know that suddenly he's now got a sister, or if Elle is now just going into a completely new life. We don't know. It's all very up in the air.
And like that the sister is Mike's kind of girlfriend, and he's like had this massive argument with Mike because of her, and is like fed up of her being there, and like this whole thing. And I saw a thing saying about, and I think we were saying about it, that Elle's room in the buyer's house is Will's, like the wallpaper in Will's room, so it looks like Will had to share with Jonathan, and Elle got a room, so like he got kicked out of his own bedroom, and like he's I don't think, I'm sort of just imagining that it's going to start and they're just going to still, they won't like each other. I don't think it's going to be this like power thing.
No, I'm quite disappointed that we actually never saw them meet properly, because obviously I guess they met at the Snowball, but we don't know what happened there at all. Like the season 2 script that you used to be able to see online, I don't know if you can still view it perfectly legally now, because I don't know if it's from the because I don't think it's accessible properly now through the Emmy website, but you used to be able to, because obviously it was up for an Emmy award. It kind of cuts off as they're all dancing in the script, and never actually even goes into that there either. So we've kind of missed that whole dynamic, and I don't know, I would have liked to have seen it, but I understand.
Because there was always seemed to be like some kind of connection there, you know, like she saw him in the Upside Down, and then even in season 2 she comes in and she's like, can I see him? Like she wants to see him, and you think, where's that connection just gone to? Where's it just suddenly vanished? And they don't talk, they don't like each other. Did they meet and realize they hate each other and they just never want to be friends? Like what's the dynamic there? I'm just a bit I don't know.
Because it's odd, because there obviously are moments when she protects him, like towards the end of season 3, that there's moments that she's obviously holding him back to that, so there is obviously a care there. But I think in total they say that like 4 lines to one another, and it just seems odd that we never really got that in season 3. But I suppose in a sense we actually never really got her speaking to anyone apart from Max and Mike in season 3 either. And obviously we know that we got on really well with Dustin and Lucas,
and
so
it
we
seems
kind of missed that whole
Yeah. And it seems like when she talks to Max, they've not really spoken until when she approaches her. And then you think, what have you been doing? Where have you been?
Yeah.
Aside from Mike, but being with Mike, but like, surely that's not, like, no wonder Hopper was annoyed if that's literally the only thing she's done. Like,
so this is where the timeline gets a bit weird though, because we are planning to talk about when all of the comics are released. So they're also doing a Strange Things / D&D comic, and issue 3 was released yesterday. Or if you're watching this, was released. If you're listening to this, it was released on the 6th of January. And this comic set in May 1985, and it kind of suggests that they're all getting along and they're all playing D&D. Obviously, I don't feel like this one is completely canon.
No.
Because they're not wearing the right clothes. And there's been moments in the other comics where it doesn't quite line up. So like it says like Mike gave Will the name Will the Wise, which could be plausible, but also I'm sure it was said that it was something he came up with himself, and that all the party built castle fires, which we know wasn't quite true, because that was something that Jonathan and Will did. So there are things that don't quite line up, but in the comic it does suggest they're all getting along, and that Elle has been talking with them all for a while, but then that doesn't quite match up with what, obviously, as you said, that Elle and Max seems to be like, hi, why are you talking to me?
Yeah.
I think the only character seems to match up a little bit is Will, but then I don't know, it just feels heartbreaking. I won't spoil what happens in the comics, but
we are gonna
wow, didn't need this today.
No, we are gonna do a whole podcast on the comics when the 4th and final one comes out, so look out for that, and we're gonna review it, because we thought it would be better to just review it as a whole rather than like individual things. So we sort of have the whole story, but it sort of makes it not make much sense, and then we don't really know what fits in and where, which is a little bit annoying. So a complete crackpot theory that I had, that I just wanted to be true, was that in season 3 Joyce was pregnant. Now, this comes from set photos from season 3 that blew up a little bit online, you could say. And and like Joyce was stood outside of Melvold and she looked pregnant. What it actually was, I think, was the wind had caught Winona's top at the really awkward time that a picture was taken, and the rumor that Joyce was pregnant with Bob's baby was born online, and I kind of wanted it,
It would have been truly heartbreaking though, like absolutely heartbreaking to just like, they would have had, maybe they would have brother or sister, one of the two, but there's also the idea that I mean, if you want to go really dark with it, this is the child that your other child unwillingly got the father of killed.
Yeah, it would have been because there was the theory that it was Bob's, and that was like the most plausible one, but then there was also the theory that it could have been Hopper's from the night of the snowball. That was like the other side of people that were like hardcore Jopper stans. And I was like, oh my god, I don't know which one I want to be real. Like, I don't know which one. And like, then people were saying, is that why he was comforting her at the snowball, because he knew? And she was like, oh my god, I don't know what to.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yes, that was like a big thing. It was like, did she tell him because it was Bob's? And then he was like, oh my god, and she was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And like, it was just this whole thing, and it was just this massive theory that just spiraled and spiraled and spiraled until half of the internet was just fully convinced that Joyce was pregnant in season 3, until the next day when there were set pictures which showed that she clearly was not pregnant. But
I feel like I'm not going to say what it was, but I feel like if I say this next thing, people that have seen the set pictures will know exactly what I'm talking about. The Joyce pregnant one reminds me of a picture that has been going around, or was going around just before Christmas, of the set, which started trending on Twitter because of one particular.
It was 2 in the morning.
That
was 2 in the morning. I saw that picture and I literally can't even think about it.
But if you've seen the picture, you will know exactly what picture I'm talking about. It is not Dustin related. That is all I will say. It's that picture.
It's not Dustin related. It's not Lucas related. It's not Max related.
And we'll leave it at that.
But I think it's that. I think it's like obviously when
time.
wild 2 a.m. that was. But yeah, I don't know. That was quite a big, like, I there are some days, like, obviously I've been a part of lots of fandoms and I love it, like the memories of things and waking up and seeing things and theorizing and kind of speculating and this kind of excitement when something is coming out is one of my favorite things about being part of a fandom and loving things and that kind of thing. Like, I've always loved it, even back when I was a teenager and I was like, 13, 14 and was, things like Harry Potter, when they were filming the Harry Potters and stuff, and you'd wake up to the news when Twitter was sort of like in its infancy, or you'd see like it on the actual news. I live quite close to where they filmed some of the Harry Potters and stuff, and you think, well, that's really, like, it's really cool. It's that same kind of excitement of like, oh my god, like they're making something and I can't wait to see it, and I think that was one of those days where I will remember everyone being like, oh my god, Joyce, like it's the most I've ever seen anyone like freak out about Joyce, which I feel like she deserves all the love and people should freak out about Joyce every day, all the time. But it was really cool to see. It was like one of those like collective fandom moments, that even though we were all wrong, is a lovely memory.
On that note, actually, I've just thought another one then that people got wrong. So on the subject of the season 3 set photos, the last picture that came out when they're all outside the mall.
Oh my god, yes!
Yeah. I forgot about that one. And
we got that
the way
wrong.
They released the pictures. We got that
so wrong.
The way they released the pictures, because I think they released them sort of out of sequence, so you saw Elle kind of looking around with all like the soldiers and everything around her, but then you also saw, I think in the same photo set, Will hugging Joyce. And the way it was done, this is why people should wait until things are filmed. I am also guilty of it, and I know I should wait until things are filmed before presuming things, but there we go. And we thought that maybe then were they both being taken?
Yes, because they had powers or they'd like done something. Yes, that was like insane. Like, that was genuinely insane. I remember that, and I remember being so sad because I was like, no, I was like, I hate this. I was like, I hate this. And I was like, where is Hop? Because obviously he wasn't there. And it was like, where is he? Is he already gone? Like, why are they taking Will and Elle? Like, we were fully like, they are taking them. Like, they are like taking them. That's like that, because we didn't realize it was Owens. We didn't realize it was Owens and the lab. We just were like, what? Who are these like military people? Because that ties us in to the theory that we thought Brenna was still alive. That's what we thought it was.
Yeah.
We thought Brenna was going to be in season 3, and that it was going to be his people, and he was going to be taking Elle and then Will, because Will was going to have powers.
Yeah, because of the mind flayer stuff. So we were like, okay, so he's clearly got a connection with that still, which he does, but not really. And we're like, okay, well, Elle, if they're going to take one, they're going to take the other then.
Yeah.
And so we kind of, in a weird way, we kind of got it right, because they are together.
They were taken somewhere.
Yeah, we don't know where, but just we didn't expect. I mean, it's both tragic and also I'm glad they didn't do that.
Yeah, I'm
Because
glad that it
that
wasn't Brenna
would have
taking
been
them.
worse.
I'm glad that they're with, like, you know, a nice loving family, and no, you know, I mean, I say no drama. It's gonna be drama.
It's funny because I remember that day though, because I remember you messaged me being like, "Why isn't Hop there?" And I was going, "Well, maybe he is around. Maybe, or maybe he's gonna come out later." And that kind of thing. And no, he didn't, did he? He certainly didn't.
No, that was when I still was a hopeful person, though. That was before the 26th of April 2019. And on that day, I lost all faith and hope in anything I love. And I had to deal with the death of Tony Stark. So the Hop before that, you know, him not being there, I had hope that it wasn't for some, you know, dramatic reason. Now I'd be like, they're all dead, because that's what people do to me. But I fully, like, I genuinely, like, we noticed he weren't there. We noticed he wasn't there, and it was just like, this is military. This is like Brenner. He has come to take them back. Like, what if they're doing some kind of numbers thing? What if they're like rounding up the people with powers? Like, what if this is happening? We like fully had this like whole conspiracy about it. Like, it was like a in-depth theory. And it was, you know, not like what it actually was at all. They were there to help them, and Joyce was hugging Will because Joyce was alive and Will thought she was gonna die, like, you know. So
yeah, there we go.
Wasn't what we thought. Speaking of, we definitely thought there were going to be other numbers in this season.
I think I'm quite glad as well, though. So I think, yeah, I'm very glad. I think I love season 2. You love season 2.
Favorite
Me
season.
Personally, yeah, I just don't think numbers will work now. I don't think it would have worked. I think, I don't know. I wouldn't have been surprised if Callie would have come back.
Yeah, I was expecting Callie at least.
Yeah. I'm glad she didn't, to be frank. But I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened in season 4, though.
The thing that annoys me with it is, like, yes, there obviously needs to be some acknowledgement of the other numbers, and I like Callie's powers. I like Callie, but like the way that they did the scenes were just so weird. It was just a weird random episode in the middle of like a big thing, and then it was these people that we didn't know. Like, it's not like they've been in other episodes. Like, it's not like we saw them in the first episode and then they weren't in it again until episode 7. And then you think, well, we could have had like off storylines going at the same time, getting to know Callie and like her gang, so that then when Elle met up with her, it didn't feel as random. Like, it was done really weirdly. But then it's even weirder that she was never acknowledged again, because you think, well, what did Elle do? Just come back and just not mention that that Callie exists and that she's going around killing members of the lab? Like,
yeah,
it was just never addressed again, so it felt weird that it wasn't addressed. I don't know where they would have fit it in season 3, but it was just never brought up ever again.
I think in a way that, I'm trying to think of a nice way to put it. I think season 3, I think you either really, really love season 3, or you're like, missed opportunities were made in season 3. And like, as a whole, like, it is a good season. It's nowhere near my favorite, but it is, you know, it works. And I think there were just a lot of things within it that I think things were focused on too much, at the cost of characters.
Agreed.
were missed at the cost of characters. I'm still annoyed. I'm not going to go into it again because I think I've moaned about it before. I'm still annoyed that things were missed or just left at episode 3 at the cost of characters.
Will Byers' entire character arc was just destroyed.
And it just bothers me. And I think, it's weird. I don't know. I think this actually relates to like one of the things we thought was going to happen as well, that I genuinely thought that Mike was going to be targeted a bit more.
Yeah.
Because I think he had, obviously there's the connection to Elle. There was everything that happened with Will in season 2. And there was that line, and I always pick up on this when Will's in the hospital and he turns around, and I think it's really wonderfully shot, and I appreciate it. Like, his eyes go to that, he looks like, that's my friend Mike. And the way he says Mike is like the mind flayer knows who he is.
Yeah.
So I
thought,
yeah.
The way he says that is the exact same way Billy says, "We built this for you."
Yeah.
It's the exact same way. And when they go into Heather's house and he says, "I'm sorry, who are you?" Or you are, or however he says it, like the way he says that is exactly the same way that Will says, "That's my friend Mike." And like, fair play to Descartes, because he obviously had seen the way that Will, like the way that Noah played it, like there must have been some kind of thing there, because that was like fantastically like emulated in season 3. Like, that was brilliant. So, they know who Mike is. The mind flayer knows who Mike is. And also so does the government. Like, Mike is probably the one kid out of all of the kids, bar Will and Elle, who has had to sign the most NDAs. So
oh yeah, like the whole storyline of Mike in season 2, that if he hasn't had to sign everything, then you know, and I genuinely thought that there would be more to that. And I made no secret of the fact that season 1, season 2, my favorite character was Mike Wheeler. Completely, just thought he was the best character in the show, my fave character. And I think I'm trying to put it in a nice way, and to kind of just see in season 3 that he seemed to become more of a love interest. It was just a bit like, and I think that's just the thing, really. So in season 4, if he can be targeted, that would be great. No, I think
if he can die in season 4 because of his involvement, that would be one. No, obviously joking. No. But yeah, it does just seem weird now. Like, it would be weird if in season 4 they were suddenly like, numbers, like it wouldn't.
Yeah.
It's not going to work now, I don't think. And I think that's the same way as I don't know if in season 4 they could be like, Brenna's alive. Like, I feel like it's been too long. Like, either they never mention it again, or like every other number who is alive appears at some point.
I'm so mixed on it, because the thing is, it's unrealistic to think. I mean, we know she isn't the only one from the comics, but it is unrealistic to think that she is this, like, I'm going to say, it's going to sound like I'm saying it in a patronizing way, but I don't know what it is, this high and mighty figure.
Yeah.
And who like always comes in to save the day, and they're always conveniently there, that kind of thing. It's you know, you can't think of her like that. But I also don't know if they're not. Well, she's the only one really we've focused on, and there's been a big focus on her.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it would feel right, like, as you've said, somebody be like, "Oh, but have you met 10?"
Yeah.
That kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, they wouldn't. I don't know how they could realistically do that now, unless they're already in the show.
Exactly, but we just don't know them. We are going to do a whole episode on the new characters that they announced. We were waiting to see if they would announce the newer female characters of the show, but they have only released the new male characters, so we will be talking about that at some point. And there are a couple that I believe could be numbers in that, but obviously we don't know until it comes out. But I arguably from the comics, I don't know why Owl's the focus, because some of the powers of them in the comics are stronger and scarier than what Elle can do. So unless it's literally that he had her from when she was a baby, like he was able to literally raise her into what he wanted her to be, I don't know, I just feel like it's going to be so weird. It's just going to be so weird to just be like, here's number 6, here's, especially if you haven't read the comics, like we know that number 6 is called Francine and she lived here and she knew number 3.
I mean, I don't think we're getting number 6. We're very much not.
Oh no, we're not. No, we're not. She's dead, very dead. But like we would know number 3, and we'd know that 9 and 9.5, and like we'd know that. And you think like if you hadn't read the comics, you wouldn't know that. No. So like to bring the twins in, you'd be like, who are these two from The Shining? Do you know what I mean? Like it would just be a bit weird. So whereas we know them, Marcy and the other one, but yeah, it's hard.
We know them, Marcy and the other girl.
The other one, I can't remember her name. But yeah, it's difficult. I don't really know. But I think we thought season 3 would be that would be where the numbers would come in if they were going to bring them in. I can't see them doing it now.
No. It's gonna be a wild season, I think, to be honest. I think this is the one. I mean, we're presuming at this point if season 5 is gonna be the last one. That's what I think anyway. So this has got to be the
big stakes.
This has got to arguably, but I said the same thing with season 3 because I thought that arguably the end would be like the Mind Flayer would somehow win, which I guess in a way yes, but also no.
We thought one of the kids one when gonna die as well.
Oh yeah, we
like, at the end of season 3. Yeah, no, but I was gonna say like at the end of season 3, like that we thought that it was going to be a big season in that case as well.
But then like in season 4, arguably, then this has got to be the one where people they've got to lose.
Yeah.
If they're setting up for a season 5 ending, this has got to be the one where they've got to lose essentially, and people have either got to die or there's got to be this takeover in some aspect, which is what worries me a bit. They're so split, like the storyline. It seems like the storyline is going to be really, really split. I'm avoiding picture territory as far as I can, but I don't know. It's going to be.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I am
pictures are. I've not seen any pictures about anything.
There's been no set pictures anywhere.
There's no pictures anywhere. I don't know what you're talking about.
Because COVID.
Don't. We're supposed to have it in a couple of months. Don't even go there. Yeah. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like you season 4 sort of feels like it's got to be the one now where things start to happen. They can't just keep winning. They can't just keep fighting and winning against the same thing over and over again. They've got to lose. Yeah. And arguably, like, yes, Barb died. Yes, Bob died. Yes, Alexi died. But they were all characters introduced in the respective season that they died in. And yes, Hopper died, but he didn't die. So like we haven't actually lost someone that we've had since the beginning, you know? And like it's not unrealistic. Like when people say someone always has to die, no, they don't. Of course they don't. You don't always have to have this big loss. And I mean, you know that I am fully against shock value deaths. I'm not here for it. Like if you're just going to kill someone for the shock factor to say that a favorite character who is so close to happiness is going to die, which arguably they did with Hopper, but they haven't actually killed him, then I would rather no one died. But I do think in this instance, there is going to be a death. And I just don't know if the party are safe. I cannot believe Steve is still alive as well.
No, I think we thought he was going to die in season 3.
We did. That was another thing we got wrong.
if they don't kill him this season 4, he is going to be alive for season 5, I think. I think we've spoken before about which party members are safe and not safe. I'm sure we have. I still don't fully believe that Will and Elle are completely safe, but they will be a season 5 thing if something happens.
We have a really big theory about that.
One. Yeah, we'll get into that another time.
Yeah, maybe if we do a whole podcast on that, because that's a big boy.
Yeah, we don't think Dustin's completely safe.
No, I think Dustin's gonna...
because there also seems to be a lot of focus on him at the moment, like a lot of focus on Dustin, and arguably has been for 2 seasons at this point. So there we go.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So that are the things that we got wrong. And
plus season 4 theories for you there.
And there you go, season 4 theories on how we could still potentially be right. But to be honest, I want to be right? Aside from Will having powers and Will and Elle being a dynamic duo, I don't want anyone to die. I don't want...
Not really.
I'm just very stressed about it, to be quite honest with you. Emily has seen multiple early morning breakdown over set pictures that I haven't actually seen, because what are set pictures, and who even knows what set pictures are? Not me.
You mean the set picture that sent someone's name trending on Twitter?
On Twitter?
Definitely haven't seen that one.
Yeah, that one that sent someone's name trending, and other things trending at the same time that, you know, may or may not rhyme with
I couldn't even save you there. I did not know where you were going with that.
I was trying to say that cigarette was trending, but like I couldn't think of the fact that I couldn't think of anything that rhymed with cigarette, and because cigarette was trending.
Rhymes with trousers. I was like, trousers?
No.
I don't know.
Bowers, Henry Bowers, It's chapter 2. No, right, sorry. Let's I digress. I'm very tired and my office is really hot and I'm literally melting and going a bit insane. Thanks for listening or watching my descent into madness for episode 22 of the Hawkins Do You Copy podcast.
You can catch us at, first one of the year. Let's see if I get it right first time. You can catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcast at Hawkins Do You Copy. You can also find us on social media at Hawkins Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as at hawkinsdoyoucopy.tumblr.com on Tumblr.
Well done. Nice. Well done.
Thank you. I'm really proud of that, actually. I was so careful.
You should be. Really good thing. We'll see you guys next week for another episode of the Hawkins Do You Copy podcast. Over and out.